Welcome back. You're watching Power News, and today we're bringing you an exclusive coverage on the flagship event of WEC-IMC, India Energy Congress 2012, Emerging Opportunities in Energy Sector.
Friends, to tackle the issues in the coal sector, we have already taken a few steps and we are prepared to take further steps as needed from time to time. Government of India understands that coal production can be improved only by focusing on technology and productivity for both underground and open cast mines. This would call for increasing mechanization, introducing the state-of-the-art machines and ensuring their optimum utilization as per international standards. Coal companies have been asked to fast-track the mechanization process. I am confident the target of Coal India Limited of 440 million tons for current financial year will be achieved. Efforts are on to modernize CIL. Production from other coal blocks is also being monitored and measures will be taken to achieve increased production from these blocks also. Government is also aware of requirement of power sector and is trying its best to sort out issues.
The growth rate after 11th plan was considered to be coming from the captive blocks. That was the vision goal which was for 2025 or 2030. Accordingly, more than 200 blocks have been allotted. And it was also thought that private producers will be more efficient than the public sector company of Coal India, and they will bring those blocks to production stage at a much faster rate than what Coal India can do. But that has proved equally wrong, because out of more than 200 coal blocks, only 26 blocks are in production stage as of now.
Main bottleneck remains with the clearances. There have been a few years back, the environment and forest clearance used to be dealt separately. The environment clearance to the power plant was independent of the coal linkage. Unfortunately, all these things have been made into series. Now, is it not that we are going backward? We have been talking of single window clearance. When I was advisor in 2000, even before that, we were talking of single window clearance. Why not to have single window clearance and have everything on fast track? But last 2 years or 3 years, we have found that the process has come into series from parallel. With the result, the time taken has increased, if not 3 times, at least 2 times.
We already have a gap. So other sources of energy will come as a to supplement that generation, not to fill the gap. And natural gas is also not available in near future. So the dependence on coal will continue, notwithstanding all cries of climate change. Now to get onto the technology, we have to manage our emission. We have to become more efficient in utilizing the coal resources. That's why Ministry has moved towards induction of more and more supercritical equipments. We already have started having some commissioning in 11th plan. I think 12th plan, almost 50% will come from supercritical, and 13th plan, almost 100%.
To tap the renewable power opportunity, government has provided the sector with various policies and regulatory incentives, which has enabled considerable private sector participation in the last decade. The sector is expected to go through a paradigm shift from a regulated environment to a market-oriented one. The change in sectoral dynamics is expected to present various opportunities and challenges.
Although the existing regulatory framework has created an initial momentum for harnessing renewable energy-based power potential, there are issues that limit growth. My ministry has initiated action to address the existing bottlenecks, particularly relating to renewable power resources assessment, absorption of increasing quantities of renewable power, and equitable distribution of renewable power purchase obligation. On the transmission side, the issue is whether there are enough lines to bring renewable energy onto the grid, because many of these abundant renewable energy resources are far away from load centers. Additional lines must be built to evacuate renewable energies to a mainstream grid. If plans to construct lines are not on the table, developers will hesitate to build large projects in these remote areas.
The most important aspect after the regulatory fund which has emerged, and from 1st January 2012, the power generated from these renewables need to be scheduled in the grid, because it's not that you can generate whatever power at whatever time and can get the benefit of it. So now from 1st January 2012, regulator have come up with the concept that whatever you are generating, you need to schedule it, and with the SLDCs and RLDCs.
And I see International Energy Agency's 2050 plans, they have got everything well documented. And they know exactly how much they need to achieve on renewable side, on fossil fuel, on gas, on nuclear, how the grid will be developed, how much investment flow, from where it will flow. Though there are some challenges, but I think India is still, when they see towards renewable, they are only making 5-year plan or at max 10-year plan. Don't you think that it will lead to a lot of challenges? We should also play like Indian energy policy that was only for 12 years. Don't you think that when we see energy as a whole, we should have at least 25 to 30-year plan?
In the Montreal conference in 2010, it was thought that we have to work out for over the next 30 years and fix the targets for 2050. And that's where most of the targets we are finding from the European Union that is coming in for 2050, because they're expecting that their emissions levels have to come down, have to be brought down by almost about 80%. And if that be so, then what will be the roadmap for our energy sector to move?
The investment in generation has to mostly come from the private sector. Now, what is the government's role then? Government's role is policy. Government's role is to set in place such an environment so that private sector is able to invest and development takes place fast. So that's our priority. That's where we are trying to focus.
With the growth of economy, the demand for energy has grown substantially. In such a scenario, efficient use of energy sources and their conservation assume tremendous significance and is essential for curtailment of wasteful consumption and sustainable development.
One of the greatest challenges that we face in energy efficiency is that we need to make it synonymous with energy supply. That energy efficiency must be seen as a resource. And early on, in Europe and in the US, they were able to give energy efficiency a kind of stature and make it equivalent to energy supply by following what is known as a symmetrical approach to energy planning.
See, earlier we have worked with the low cost or no cost programs, with the help of which we have achieved the efficiency levels at the nearly with some gap with the design. But now when the PAD scheme has come into the picture and we are talking of gap between the design and of net heat rate, and for this there is a large opportunity available for the technology providers at the low cost. But further, time is also a constraint because the targets which PAD scheme is giving to us is for 3 years, 4 years.
If I am NTPC and I go to a bank and I say I want money to upgrade my energy efficiency so that I can meet PAD, banks will probably provide it. The problem occurs if I am a smaller company, particularly if I'm on the margins of being healthy. That is where we believe the partial risk guarantee fund would be useful. What it will do is that when a company borrows for energy efficiency, the bank takes a guarantee, he buys a guarantee. In case he doesn't get repaid, 50% of the non-repayment will be met out of the partial risk guarantee fund. We believe this will enhance the comfort of banks to lend for energy efficiency.
And this brings us to the end of today's episode. Do keep sending us your suggestions and views at powernews@zenetwork.com or call us on 011-405-60701. Do join us next week for more news and updates. Till then, goodbye and take care.